Assalamualaikum, my name is Andik Nuridaya binti Andik Pangeran and my matrix number is A18A0054. I would like to present for chapter 1. The background and content of this study are students play a significant role in ensuring the learning effectiveness and teaching can be carried out in the classroom. It is because it can increase the understanding of students in the classroom when they have the effectiveness of learning. But most of the students do not anticipate during classes. It can be seen by some students who do not respond to the teachers and do not focus during learning session. It can affect their academic performance. The reason why students become passive during classes is classroom environment, family factor, the individual behavior, and person may have anxiety disorder. To get the finding of this study, we will give a questionnaire to student University of Malaysia Kelantan UMK to examine the factor influencing the student at UMK became passive during classes. Next, problem statement. For the problem statement that we get from this study is personal attitude. Students' attitude includes students who are not confident, shy, and afraid while in classroom. It will encourage them to not respond to the teacher during learning, and it will make the learning's effectiveness cannot be delivered properly. Next is surrounding behavior. It exists where the feelings of depression in themselves, it because they are often get ignored and looked down by the other students, so that it will affect them become passive and affect to the communication and relationship between students. Then anxiety also one of the problem statement in this study. Anxiety can occur among students caused by extreme stress, and students can get depression at the same time, which can cause them to be passive during classes. Then for our research question is first, does the personal attitude, surrounding behavior, and anxiety is the factor that can affect university students become passive during classes? Second is, what is the impact of the passive student on the performance of the student in class? And the third is, how does the personal attitude, surrounding behavior, and anxiety can influence the passiveness of university students? Our first research objective is to determine whether the personal attitude, surrounding behavior, and anxiety is the factor that affect university students become passive during classes. And the second is to identify the impact of the passive student on the performance of student university during classes. And the third is to investigate the relationship between personal attitude, surrounding behavior, and anxiety and passive student. And then for our operational definition of this study is first, measure the effectiveness of student interaction during classes. Second is measure the level of concentration among students during classes. The third is measure the level of student comfort during classes. And the fourth is measure the level of the courage of students during classes. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nurdayana binti Kaji, matrix number A18A1099. So I'm going to present the literature review, dependent variable and independent variable 1. So the dependent variable for our research is a passive student. A passive student usually engaging with the information obtained or the learning experience, also can quickly absorb information and knowledge. They do not communicate, share perspective, and contribute to our conversations with others. The passive student had a little knowledge of the topic being taught because they do not like to read and no interest in the topic. Students become passive in classroom discussions due to the self-limitations such as inability to focus during a lecture or learning time and fear of offense. Our independent variable one is a personal attitude. Attitude towards personality affect the attitude of the student being passive in the classroom. Among them are shyness, fear of speaking, and the atmosphere in the classrooms. They are rarely asked their teacher questions and they do not engage entirely in group events. The effect of shyness on quiz, tests, etc. Passive student personality is that they are difficult to focus in the class, no interest in learning, no interest in the topic being studied, was ashamed to ask, lack knowledge, and not confident with themselves. Students prefer to ask in person with a lecture or reference to the internet if they don't not understand or seek more information.
Good evening. Today I'm going to present about independent 2, 3 and hypothesis. First, about surrounding behavior. Student participation in the classroom may range from passive to active behavior. They may be silent, answer question, listen, ask question, give opinion, or just take note. There are 4 types of student behavior while in the classroom as a silent observer, participation in the situation, marginal interaction, and full integration. Students can be passive during class discussion due to behavior such as fear of making mistake, self-limitation, inability to focus during lecture session or study time, low self-confidence, and so on. Student behavior cause students to become a passive student. However, educators and education providers need to consider the surrounding factor which cause students to be passive in the classroom. Next, about anxiety. Anxiety exists when the body releases hormone and adrenaline which result in a lot on emotions and physical reactions. Anxiety is a negative emotion in academic that reduce students' positive emotions. Anxiety also considered as deactivating. Most university students fear public speaking. This fear is known as fear of communicating, anxiety or doubt of the speaker, or fear of the stage. It can be concluded that most students are anxious when faced with formal discussions such as public speaking. However, student anxiety in the classroom needs to be studied more whether the anxiety of formal and informal discussion is the cause of student being passive. Based on the dependent and independent variable, there are 3 hypotheses. Hypothesis 1 is there is a positive relationship between personal attitude and passive student. Hypothesis 2, there is a relationship between surrounding behavior and passive student. Hypothesis 3, there are positive relationship between anxiety and passive students. That's all.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Zaid Al-Khair bin Muhammad Yazid, number metric A18A0962. So today I will explain chapter 3 for business proposal. For the research design, we are using quantitative research. To collect data, we are using both primary and secondary source, which is theoretical search such as book, journal, publication, and we also using an observational survey. For this study, we're using descriptive research. For the method and sources, the tools that we use in this research is a questionnaire. The participant for this research is a degree student who enrolled in various courses at University Malaysia Kelantan UMK Kampus Kota. For the source of research and procedure, we have 2 ways to collect data from sample, which is by face-to-face and online questionnaire. For the face-to-face, respondent will be chosen randomly in UMK Kampus Kota by asking for their permission. To collect data using online questionnaire, we will ask for permission to each admin group on social media such as WhatsApp, Facebook, Telegram that is related to UMK Kampus Kota to post the questionnaire. For the sampling, we are using sample which is a degree student who enroll in various courses at UMK Kampus Kota. The technique that we use is a random. For the analysis plan, the data that we gather from the 350 set of questionnaire for this research will be analyzed using the statistic package for social science computer software package, which is SPSS.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shalfazri bin Faisal, Nabometric A1X A0X24. I will present about practical implication. This research has three practical implications. First, the model produced in this research can be used as a reference for university students. University students can find out what the reason and characteristic of the student become passive during the class. When a student frequently asks, then of course he know the answer to what he did not understand while the lecturer was giving knowledge. Don't be a student who is ashamed to ask, because this will make it difficult to understand what the lecturer is teaching. Students who are embarrassed to ask will lose. Okay. Second, the factor that influence university students to be passive in the class studied are at an alarming level. This proves that many of the university students studied are actually passive in the classroom. Therefore, the factor that influence students to be passive in the class can be used as a listen and teaching module to be taught to university students. University lecturers need to take this research as a listen module for university students so that students don't become passive in the classroom. It can also give awareness to university students not to be passive students. And last, the result of the study show that passive university students in the classroom have a negative relationship with academic achievement. This is because passive students are actually ashamed to ask and are afraid to speak in public. This attitude needs to be changed by university students if they want to excellence in academic. People who don't ask will not be able to know anything. Therefore, with this research can encourage passive students to be active students and always enthusiastic in the classroom. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Muhammad Faiz bin Muhammad Napia. My metric number is A1X80349. I want to present about my part with its contribution in knowledge. Firstly, students with moderate level will be more correspondence than extreme level students. Indeed, the students should know the specific topics that will be discussed in the classroom, so they will be more prepared. Second, student questions for clarification about subject matter and student response to lecture question may be more beneficial than student anecdotes regarding issues under discussion. Instructor should have students to answer questions in writing at home before coming to the class on the next day. Size of the class and location of the student seat may be affected the each level to contribute to classroom learning. It is because a small room or class can make the student more focused on the lecturer, and the location should be in quiet and peaceful. Students also should be given additional marks or credits for volunteering, answering the question that will increase their course or subject percentage. It can boost their interest and determination to answer or ask questions and to participate in the class. Lastly, utilize exercise by mixing learning method, which includes synchronized, which occurred at the same time, or simultaneous learning system, may improve nonverbal correspondence or improve the focus of the students. That's all the information regarding my part. Thank you.